but we knew that wasn't going to work. That's when I found that motor. That's what really kicked the Mule off. You're not swinging your leg around the back with stuff on the back. A 20 amp hour, 52 volts, 20 amp hour here, and you got 20 amp hour in the bike. So you got a total of 40 amp hours.
Today we're talking about the Mule JÄGER SD. Welcome to the Bakcou Podcast. Welcome to the Bakcou Podcast, where we try to elevate your life every day. Everyone here calls me Kelch, and I'm going to be your host today, and we have none other than Dave Andre, hunter extraordinaire, with us today. So welcome, Dave.
Thank you. Other people call me the world champion Texas hard shot.
Well, today we are talking about the Mule, like I said, and you're kind of the brain. This is your brainchild, pretty much, right?
Yep.
So the Mule was one of the first named Bakcou bikes. Tell me about like the first Mule. What was the very first one like?
So the first Mule, we came out with 4 bikes: the Puma, the Storm, Mule, and the Stalker, kind of from price low to high. But the Mule was kind of, from the beginning, really what most hunters were drawn to. What we were really focusing on was making that bike the hunting bike. It's a hardtail, it's made more to carry a lot more weight, pack stuff, carry trailers. You're not worrying about the suspension on the full suspension, wearing that stuff out and having to maintain that stuff. So that's really what it was kind of created for, was just that real pack mule.
And that's where the name comes from then, the Mule.
Kind of a pack mule, yep. And
it's kind of survived throughout all the different iterations of bikes that we've put out there, right?
Yep. Yeah, that was our main focus, is like, all right, let's hone in, let's keep modifying, changing it. How do we make this better, stronger? And as it got, we really kind of got that perfected. Then we moved a lot of that stuff into the Storm.
Well, now we've got a new version of the Mule out right now. So the Mule JÄGER SD. Now, what makes this one different? So what features have been added? Because the very first one was a little rougher than this one, right?
Yeah, it went through a few different phases. Basically, I think the first version, it was a hub on the Mule, and then
it was a hub drive.
Just our prototype hardtail, but we knew that wasn't going to work. It was a full size bike, 26 inch by 4 wheels, and then we were the first company in the U.S. to basically bring the Fang Ultra, motor to the market in the U.S. And that's when I found that motor. That's what really kicked the Mule off. And from starting there, and then components and the batteries, and just now improving the rack. So now from you go from a top tube on it to the SD's kind of our Super Duty model. So basically remove that bar. It's an integrated battery, and the rack is more modular system now. So we have a lot of modular type racks and batteries and bags and things that can come on, clip on, clip off pretty quick on the rack. Okay,
so now you talked about removing the top tube. What is the benefit of that?
So, for years, a lot of the men bike obviously had kind of a top tube, and women didn't. But we were noticing that it just got in the way, getting on and off the bike, stopping, putting your feet on the ground. You have boots on, a pack on. You're not swinging your leg around the back with stuff on the back. And so now with that easy kind of step through model, it's so much easier and just a complete game changer.
Oh yeah. Okay. Now there's also the rack system, the modular rack system, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. So now that adds a lot of different things to the bike. Do you want to talk about some of the accessories and things like that adds to?
Absolutely. So the biggest thing that we did was be able to run dual batteries. So this rack, you actually can.
And we have one right here, don't we?
Yep.
Yeah. Let's grab that.
So basically, you've got a 20 amp hour, 52 volts. So the new SDs are all 52 volt systems. You got 20 amp hour here, and you got 20 amp hour in the bike. So you got a total of 40 amp hours that run together. And then you've got a plug on the bike that you can plug it in. So this is just an option to add to the bike, which makes a huge difference. Which then, you got the quick release mount on the bottom, and then also you still have access to put a bag on the top with the quick release system on it.
Okay, yeah. Let's grab one of those bags too, real quick. I'll take this from you.
Yep. So as you can see, it's got the quick release here. You just clip that on the bike, grab it, put it on. Then you can take it off pretty quick and easy. This is the large one, and it actually can store another second battery inside here. Make sure it's the right length.
So get a third battery, is what you're saying?
Yep.
Okay, there we go. That's quite a bit.
If you want to go out, you can have plenty of distance, or get our solar panel system to charge when you're out in the field and get the bike charged up.
Okay, and then we also have side pannier bags, right?
Yep.
Let's grab that. Sorry, I'm making him do all the work.
Man, I'm not even getting paid for this. Working hard.
What are you talking about, man?
Oh, just kidding.
I'm like, are you not getting paid?
So these are our completely waterproof pannier bags with a roll top, tons of space in there. It's got the quick release hooks. So 2 different models of bikes. So if this isn't lining up, you can move this down to catch the other rail, like on the Scouts, and they're directional, so left and a right, and this is different angle for left and right on these things. So they're pretty fancy bags, man.
Okay, and those go on all the SD models plus the Puma, correct?
Yep.
The Puma now has that.
Yep, the new Puma SD has that modular rack on there, which is amazing. Yeah.
Oh,
and
great.
Working on.
Yeah. So now with the Mule, we've got a lot of different bikes. Who is the Mule specifically built for?
It's specifically kind of that SUV Range Rover bike that I like to call it, because it's just capable of doing just about anything. You can go up, come down. The biggest brakes on the market to help you stop and carry heavy loads down the hill. The frame is just 6061 alloy frame, double welded. It's amazing frame. It's kind of focused on hunters, so basically a lot of the components and racks and different things go for it. And with the Jaeger, we've removed any derailleur or chain tensioner on there, so basically you're not worried about breaking that off and having to push your bike out because you break that derailleur off, because you're usually a lot of off-road, hitting twigs, hitting sticks, and you can really gum that up and break that derailleur off.
So now you said like the very first Mule had a hub drive motor. Now we've transitioned over to the mid-drive motor. What are the benefits of that? Like why did you do that?
So the mid-drive obviously is much more torque. It's people think because a hub motor is usually rated at 80 newton meters torque. The mid-drive's 160 newton meters, but the difference is a hub motor, when it starts getting hot, you're losing a lot of power over the climb of the hills and different things like that. The mid-drive is a gear reduction system that maintains that torque the whole time, doesn't get too hot, and it's pulling from the front. So then you're incorporating the gear system. So if you're using the throttle, you're pedaling, you want to maintain your gears, whatever you're in. On the roll-off that comes with the 14 speeds, the gear ratio is like a 530% gear ratio in there. So you're from 1 to 14, you got plenty of gear. Combining
it with the roll-off, you did say that it got rid of the rear derailleur, but there's so much more to the roll-off than that, correct?
Correct, yep.
Okay,
yep.
So because with that one you can shift automatically, especially with the new ones, right?
Yeah. So now the new Mule JÄGER SDs, you're getting the E14 shifting system on there made by Rohloff, which is electronic shifting, which is another game changer of not having to twist and have cables. It's all electronic, just takes a little bit of power from the battery, not very minimal.
Yeah.
And there's options in there to hold the thing. It shifts 3 times, downshift, upshift, and it's kind of an opposite of a derailleur system and a cassette. So those ones you have to be pedaling to kind of shift and move that chain. The chain's got to be moving to really move. So the Jaeger, you want to let off any torque as much as you can. It'll actually kind of stop you from being able to shift. You sure a lot of torque just to prevent the hub from breaking. They don't break. That's why they do that. They kind of hold it back. But it'll so when you come to a complete stop and you're in overdrive, your top speed, you can downshift all the way to your granny gear and and go again, and you're not having to, try to get your gearing back up.
Yeah, I've actually had to do that a couple times on a hill. So it's like we're going straight up a hill and I need to start again. I'm like, oh crap, I got to shift down to gear 1, and then it's very nice on that side.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Well, tell us now your experiences with the Mule over the years. Like what type of success have you had hunting with it?
It's been an amazing tool. We've had, if you go back when I was 19 years old, I was mountain bike hunting on logging roads, just regular bike. And it, because the year before my brother got me into hunting and we were walking logging roads for a couple miles, and I thought, why don't we just bring mountain bikes? They were pretty flat and rolly and whatnot. So I'd mountain bike in, but even going 3 miles when it's super cold, you're bundled up, you stop. And within a few minutes, even when you kind of start getting in there, your body's heat up, and then you're sweating, and then within 20 minutes you're cold, and then you got scent coming, and just different things like that. So fast forward to 2016, that's when the e-bikes kind of started, coming about, and that's what I caught my eye on. I'm like, man, that's what I need, because an area in Idaho we hunted, they just logged some roads, and in 16 we were walking them, and we didn't want to be driving SUVs or trucks or any noise, because animals really are alert to that, and they they can just stop talking and really stop moving around with activity on the mountain. With the Mule, we were able to really cover those roads back and forth. You hear a bull bugle and you get him, but he's like, man, he's still 1,000 yards away. Let's get down there, jump on the bike, get back on the bike. And sometimes, a lot of times we're calling on the bike, we can probably roll some clips of times where literally we're standing on the bikes calling and elk come in. This last year, me and Jarek were in Montana with Bo, and we were on the motorcycles, and they were so quiet that, we called, we heard one rip, we moved up another 500 yards, stopped, started ripping again, and before we could even get off the bikes, we seen them coming up the hill. And the only cover we had was the bike, so we were filming the elk come past us through the wheels of the bike. And
I've seen this one, yeah.
And it was amazing. And so the Mule JÄGER first is, you don't have that derailleur, you got the electronic shifting, dual battery capacities, durable frame, and it also comes with our IoT module in there, so our Bakcou Connect, which you can run with your phone, track your bike, your miles, your maintenance, battery life, lock it, arm it. If it's stolen, you can contact us, we can track it. There's, obviously it's LTE service, so a lot of times you got to be in cell service to get that, because its information is sent back to us. There's other things that you can get to add to it if you're off grid to, kind of watch it just with a GPS little tracker or something like that, which is help. We do that. I'll throw a little tag in my bag or somewhere, hide it in there, and then I know where it's at all the time.
Okay.
But then then you can run kind of both systems.
Oh, that's nice. Now there's also the ODP, right? The on-demand programming.
Yep. So the ODP is on all of our bikes basically, so you can be in compliance with any state regulations, federal government regulations, to where and we really are proactive of following the laws, but we are pushing for more access for e-bikes to get into areas, because this is public land, it's our land, we should be able to get in there. And right now, majority of the areas in federal lands, class 1 on bike trails, class 1 is considered a bike. It's basically 20 miles an hour assisted speed and no throttle, and that's basically what that's a typical bike can do, but you're minimizing your energy to go in there, and that's where you're trying to save your energy for the mountain.
Yeah, and we did a podcast all about the new, at least Utah laws. I think it was the last one we did, the podcast number 1.
Yeah.
So this is podcast number 2. So yeah, go and check that out if you guys want some more information about the changes in the laws, at least here in Utah, and a little bit more explanation about class 1, 2, and 3.
And real quick too, like if you're whatever state you're in, we're in Utah. We pay attention really heavily in Utah just because we got some legislatures and lobbyists that we work with well. But if your state's dealing with this, message us, email us, DM, whatever you need to know to let us know what's going on, if we can get involved and help, because we got a big force behind us to help try to proactive these laws and not let them ban them. We understand that there's e-motorcycles in areas that bikes are going that shouldn't be there. There's most of the laws now are really just safety reasons, Yeah. I mean, even my son this morning called me and wanted to ride his e-motorcycle to school, and I'm like, but I told you,
you can't do that.
You can't do that. You're not supposed to ride on the road,
or the sidewalk.
Yeah. And so it's like, you got to be safe, man. So let us know. We'll help out.
All right, guys, that's it. Thank you once again for joining us here at the Bakcou Podcast, where we try and elevate your life. Please join us next time on the Bakcou Podcast.
Make sure you subscribe and like and comment. Whatever you want to hear. If you have questions about the Mule JÄGER or any of that stuff, let us know. Comment, and we're right on it. We'll help you out. And we appreciate all the support. And the Bakcou tribe, keep after it, man. And hopefully more successful hunts out there for all of you, and share them with us.
Oh, yeah. Share photos, videos, everything like that. You might end up on our Instagram or YouTube or somewhere. So we'll do something.
You will end up on there, so share it with us.
Yeah, you will. Okay, thanks again, guys.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And as a special gift, we would like to send you a hat. Could be this one. Could be another one. Just fill out the link below. Thanks again for watching. We appreciate you guys.